Now what I want to do is hand over very quickly to Diane Woodside, as I said, my business partner, who will help you with some of the things that we have to juggle as business owners. And I always say, arguably, she's the ringmaster in our circle of jugglers.
Thank you, Judith. Credit management, one of my favourite sayings is a sale is a gift until it's paid for, and I wonder how many people in this room would actually agree with that. Credit management is a subject that has become the focus for a lot of attention, especially in the last few years when the economic climate is somewhat crazy. It's very critical in the current economic climate that businesses take some time to have a wee look at what the credit management system is, what their processes are, and how they actually apply the daily process of that. Going back to the Northern Ireland Chamber of Commerce, one of the statistics they found was that most businesses have yet to review their credit policies, but they are still extending credit to businesses who cannot pay, despite the challenges facing all businesses today. In fact, back in 2007, before the credit crunch and before the world changed for most of us, the average debt turn in the north of Ireland was 55 days. Today it's more like 82. Whilst this is a sign of the times, it presents a huge funding gap for a lot of businesses, especially when bank funding is maybe just not so readily available. So let's get into a wee bit of detail. If you're extending credit to a debtor, you need to know legally who that debtor is, to both assess his business now and to chase him for payment at a later stage. Please remember, you cannot sue bricks and mortar. It's very important to know the owners of a business. So get the exact name and legal status of the business that you're dealing with. Get headed paper. Don't be afraid to ask for accounts. It's not unusual in this day and age to ask a business, especially a new business that you want to trade with, to ask for some numbers on how his business is performing. Hold customers' personal details, especially if you're dealing with a partnership or a sole trader. Think about using credit reference agencies. I think some people are a wee bit nervous of the information that's on some of these credit reports, but certainly in our business we would use Credit Safe for business customers and Call Credit for sole traders and partnerships. And actually those reports are quite good because they will give you a credit scoring which tells you how quickly that customer is inclined to pay his suppliers, and it will also give you a notional credit limit. So it does at least alert you to the credit worthiness of a business, and for you then to make the decision, is this someone that I want to trade with? Be strict and enforce the rules. Don't be afraid to put your own credit policy in place. Make sure that everyone within your business understands what your credit policy is and stick to the rules that you set. Don't be tempted by the big order. I think that lots of businesses can get carried away with that, and sometimes the order is more important than the quality of the debtor and the fact, am I going to get paid whenever I deliver this order? Trade references, I would suggest you handle with care. If you're dealing with a new customer, he is very likely going to give you his two top suppliers, people that he services well, and it may not be a true reflection of how he actually pays all of his suppliers. Perfect your payment terms. Naturally your cash flow will suffer if your debtors do not pay, but it's very important that your debtors actually know what those payment terms are, what your rules are, when you expect to get paid, what your returns policy is, what your query policy is, etc., etc. So a few rules: agree payment terms in advance and, if possible, in writing. Cross-check your terms and ensure you've got the adequate funding in place to support maybe an explosion of turnover. You might want to think about standardising wording on invoices, and obviously we've got the late payment legislation that's come into play. Actually, it came into play back in 2008, and a lot of businesses now are kind of putting this little notice on their invoices that basically says we will exercise our statutory right to claim interest at 8% over the Bank of England base rate and compensation for debt recovery costs under the late payment legislation if we are not paid. Consider the late payment charges. I think that if you have the courage to apply these interest charges on one or two occasions, you will find that your debtors will very quickly fall into your payment plan rather than theirs. Beware of extended credit term requests. I've been at this 30 years now, and quite often where you find customers looking for extended terms, or where you find customers who are making you on-account payments, that quite often they have got some sort of financial issue within their business, and obviously that can lead to the potential for a bad debt.